What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up?
And Chris Epcon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So, welcome to, I believe this is, so it's definitely season 4, but I believe this is episode 7. So, but we will see. So definitely continue to check us out. So we're on your podcast platform of choice, as well as WDJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area, Tuesdays at 5 p.m., as well as TuneIn app, as well as Channel 10, public access in the DC Fairfax area. But without further ado, I give it to you, Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from darkreading.com, written by Nate Nelson. And the title of this one is Scammers Are Using Grok to Spread Malicious Links on X, right? So this is really the bad actors that are out there using Grok, right? And they're trying to spread malicious links, right, to users. And it's one of those things where when you're dealing with social media, people want the followers, people want, everybody to subscribe to them or whatever it may be, right? Like the old YouTube line, like, share, subscribe, right? Like it's one of those things where you see people on there like, share, subscribe, hit the button, hit the bell. Same thing we want, right? Same type of thing. We want it to go out to the masses, but people are using Grok. And they've actually labeled it grokking, right? And so what they've done is they've used X's AI assistant Grok, and what they're doing is they're circumventing protections against malicious advertising, right? Which they're calling malvertising. So like they always come up with cool names for stuff like this. It's like, oh man, this is bad, but that's a cool name, right? It's just like with the ransomware groups, they always come up with good names for them, Salt Typhoon, things like that. You're like, geez, that sounds cool, but I know how terrible it is, right? But they say it's happening hundreds of times a day now. To what they're doing is they're spreading malware by putting links in responses, right? That Grok goes to reference. And so what it's doing is it's called, let me see if I can find it in here. They're calling it traffic distribution systems, I think is what they said. Yeah, that's what they're using to push deceptive and malicious content, adult fake captchas, which we've done an article on that too, right? Where we talked about the fake captchas that are out there, and scam redirects, right? So because it's on social media, I mean, there are times where people just trust automatically. They innately trust whatever they see, and they just start hitting on stuff and believing what they're reading and whatnot. But it's not the way to go about doing things, right? And I know there are times where, like sometimes you're reading something and you're like, man, I don't know how true that is. And you go outside of whatever article it is and not just take it at faith. But I don't think that happens as much on social media. Now, what I will tell you is that, not being familiar with Grok myself, I know there are some people that will tell you that it's a good AI to use, right? We may or may not hear that in the next 30 seconds or so, right? Like we'll see. But me personally, I can't speak to how it is, but I know it is being used to misdirect some people out there on X. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, big thing. Like I'm one of those Grok users, right? I am one of them, right? But again, this is a example of capabilities that are published and utilized, right? That haven't potentially gone through some kind of security review, right? So I know maybe for listeners here that are familiar with X, right? So within X, you can post a video, you can post a picture, whatever it is, and you give it a title. You give the video a title, or you write some kind of statement within that video asking a question. Oh, look at this, right? So what hackers are doing is when they're posting videos, they're actually putting the link in those fields, right? And generally, Grok does not publish any links like that when it's looking at these videos, unless you have a link in your title somehow in that specific field. So what they're doing is it's like a two-step process where, let's just say they have a video of a sports video, right? But they captioned it with a malicious link instead of saying, hey, look at this, 50-yard run from this running back, right? And then when Grok responds to it, Grok actually publishes or responds with that link, right, in its caption, with its analysis, right? The hacker will then ask, hey, Grok, what's this video about? Generally, it'll just give you a description. But since for some reason, since the link is in the title, it's going to actually put that link in its response. So because of how Grok works, maybe the engagement numbers are better, right? When Grok does a response to it, because obviously it's a whatever content delivery type algorithm that it's on. Grok responds to something, and then generally viewers will get to see it, right? And then a susceptible user might, inadvertently click on the link that Grok, published because, you would assume it's safe because, Grok said it, right? But hackers have figured out a way to figure that out. There's, to me, like, this is it is obviously an oversight from the Grok security team. It is a capability that's published. I think that maybe too quickly. It's nice, right? As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, this is the only social media. Well, I guess there's Meta and that, where everybody's quick to publish their social media products, or rather the AI products, and integrate it with social media. But I think none of them is as pervasive and as well known as the Grok and the X slash Twitter relationship, right? So from a security standpoint, I think there are definitely some holes in this as evidenced. But I think that the big takeaway is, one, organizations need to do a thorough security review, thorough scenario risk, identify the risks, and put some tests in a sandbox. Test it out before you deploy it live. And I think this may have, from the Grok team, this may have just this is probably a big oversight, and as you can tell. So, like, Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. But like Shannon said, like, share, subscribe.
That's right.
But no, I think it was an oversight and something that can be corrected. Maybe, a hot fix or a patch or next model rolls out and tightens this up. I don't think that they'll completely solve the issue, only because it is baked into social media, and there's people are always going to find a way to do something malicious. That's just what they do. Especially through promoted posts. Like, I don't know about Facebook because I never promoted the post, but I have through LinkedIn in the past. Typically, what will happen is if something is spreading organically, uh, it'll allow you to make adjustments and edits and things of that nature to the post. But if you pay to boost something, is what they call it boosting, then they kind of have some guardrails up, so that way you don't try to change the image or the links or the edit a link inside of it and things of that nature, because of this, right? They don't want you to scam people at mass or at scale, because more people will engage with it, more people will see it. There'll be more impressions on whatever that thing is that you're boosting. So they figured it out. So I'm sure X will do the same. But again, bad guys are always going to be bad guys, right? They're going to figure out other ways around it. I'm not really a Grok user. Like, I will read its responses through X, but I have not tried it out independently. Talking to Chris, it's a model I will test out sooner or later, because I'm a big open AI guy, right? So I usually use ChatGPT and things of that nature, because I pay for a sub, right? So I'm kind of biased in that way, but always want to try new things. But I just X is a dumpster fire. Like, I go there sometimes just to see what is trending, right? But like, I'm just looking for news and getting out of there, but it has not been the same since. A lot of news outlets left as well, right? So there's a lot more, I guess, grassroots or smaller media outlets like AP and things of that nature might be back, for all I know. But I remember I used to go there for like AP and BBC and a few others that I don't know if they're still there or not.
Maybe not, right? But like, so as to what you were alluding to, right? Like, you can't get rid of this completely, right? Because the bad guys will always spoil a good thing, right? Because the fact that it does this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just when it's being misused, right? Like, and you can't get rid, like, if you get rid of the whole process, or if you get rid of the whole way of doing that, where it's referencing these links, you do lose some good things out of that, right? So you got to be careful. How do you find that delicate balance, right? Not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting undertaking for them to try to moderate this.
Yeah, and it's always going to be a process, because they want to be the town square, right? They want to be where everybody goes to get their news, and they want it to be as unbiased as possible, right? So that's why they let the quote unquote crazies in. But it seems as though they're either overran it, or my For You page or my algorithm is always giving me the craziness. But yeah, so I be this one like a dead horse.
It's weird though, because like there was always complaints about certain political views not being expressed fairly, but when you dive into the numbers and you look at it, it wasn't really true, right? Like, when you look at it, it's like, no, it is expressed fairly. It's just that when you get overly wild with something, overly crazy, yeah, that's got to get reined in, right? Like, that can't be the
Mhm.
norm. You know, you can't sit here and say you're being kept from expressing your views when you are clearly, like, the numbers are here. Here it is. Here's this. You are getting it, but don't say space lasers are doing this, that, and the third, and you won't get, moderated out of it. Yeah, it's whatever.
But without further ado, I'll give it to you, Shannon, for the next topic.
All right. So this, I know it just is ended on a crazy note there. I don't know. It's kind of wild. This was from the Hacker News, and it's Ravi Lakshman in the back again, right? Been a minute since
That's our man right there.
been a minute since we've heard from Ravi, right? So
Yeah.
not heard from, but expressed an article, noted an article. But the title is CISA orders immediate patch of critical Sitecore vulnerability under active exploitation. So they call what's going on here, right? The federal civilian executive branch, right? Agencies are being advised to update Sitecore instances, right? So their due date is September 25th, right? So from when we're taping right now, a little under 3 weeks, right? We're looking at 18 days, right? And it was a security flaw that's undergoing active exploitation in the wild, right? So the CVE in it for it is 2025-53690, and the CVSS score is 9, right, out of 10. So that's pretty high, right? It's critical severity when you look at these CVSS scores. But what it is Sitecore Experience Manager, Experience Platform, Experience Commerce, and Managed Cloud contain a deserialization of untrusted data vulnerability involving the use of default machine keys. See, that's what CISA is saying, right? So what it allows you to do is to exploit ASP.NET machine keys to achieve remote code execution, right? And when you do that, it's always that thing of pivoting, right? Like once you get in there, you start creating a privileged accounts, you start pivoting to things that's just like, okay, once you get your foot in the door, how do we go ahead and make it to where we can just take over everything, right? So, and that's what's going on here, right? So it's really an abuse of publicly disclosed ASP.NET machine keys, right? And Microsoft documented this back in February, right? So they were noticing the exploitation of it back as soon as, I want to say it was December of last year. It notes in the article, I think they said, even though it came out in February, because this is the thing we talk about where when stuff is discovered, like, should you get it out sooner? We've talked about this in the past, right? Microsoft made it known in February. They knew about it in December. It's like, okay, what's the time frame here on when we're going to get this stuff out there? But there's pros and cons to it, right? Like whether they were fixing it or doing something else about it, doesn't matter. Different article altogether to talk about that, or a different story altogether to talk about that, as we brought it up several times. But yeah, they talk about the weaponization of it. Again, when these hackers gain access, right? They're like I said, they're escalating privileges, they're creating accounts, and sometimes it's stealthily done, right? So because they're doing network tunneling using this, they're using RDP, remote desktop protocol, which I don't think we're ever going to go away from, right? It's the convenience of it that we all love, right? And they're just using it for nefarious purposes. So got to be careful out there, folks, right? Like, so make sure you're paying attention to your administrator accounts, right? Making sure they're not being compromised, doing your auditing, making sure the accounts aren't performing certain actions at odd times, things of that nature, right? So just be on the lookout, folks. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
My first thoughts are like, I wasn't familiar with Sitecore when I read this article. So for the listeners, right, just wanted to give a quick rundown of what they do and what's been compromised. But essentially, Sitecore is a fancy tool that like a lot of companies use that helps them run their online stores and websites. They show like the personalized content, the ads based on your search history. So it does a lot of stuff with cookies, right? It keeps track of what users do in their websites, and then it can manage anything from like blog posts or whatever else that might, be utilized in that specific website, right? So when you think about it, like that's rife for exploitation, right? And given when an adversary has access to cookies and sessions and tools, there's just so many things that they could do and gain access to those sessions, get your personal information, right? Your browsing history, and potentially even create vectors to get, the important stuff like, something that your credit card or your bank account for information and things like that, right? Because a lot of websites use Sitecore. Like if you look at the logos on the Sitecore website, they've got some serious names on there, right? A lot of banks, right, and a lot of organizations. But in this case, it's the federal side as well. So, what's an example of that? And a lot of veterans listen to this, like maybe the VA website, right? That has a lot of information that it takes in from you, right? Even though there is a lot of good stuff there, like multi-factor authentication and stuff like that, that prevents utilization or any replay attacks, right? There is still vulnerabilities in anything, right? What's another one? The IRS website, like that's a potential one, right? So all these federal websites on the list, right? They may use this type of program to help them get analytics from users to help with the user experience, right? So I think it's that balance, right? The more user friendly something is, the less secure it might be, right? The more ability, the more data, right, you can get from your users or customers, and the more visibility that you have of that, right, that also gives a potential adversary that visibility as well, right? So it's always important to consider, your own visibility. And I think in the article, it does talk about it at the end, right? It does talk about a constant monitoring of your keys. And again, I think key management, right? In the military, we had our own, key management process. Anybody here listening, and it's extremely robust, and you go to jail for it, right? Or you go to jail if you mess up some of those keys. Right? That's how it was. But in this case, the ASP.NET is a Microsoft web-based tool, just in layman's terms, and you manage keys right through some kind of key manager, Azure Key Vault. There's all this type of all these tools you can use for that, and you can even use like some type of configuration management system for that, right? At least from the administrator side. But that's what they do. And I think for us, we as users, I think a lot of us, we're never going to see, like, we're not going to be on that side of the house, right? But there's little things to consider, like looking at your URL and seeing the nice little lock up there with the HTTPS on the URL, right? Just little things that we could do and see, right? In general, I think browsers are pretty good about telling you, hey, this is probably an insecure session, right? The key is not valid, right? They'll say like, oh, this public key is not valid. What is going on here? Don't click continue anyway, right? Shut your browser down and restart it, and then try again, and then maybe clear your browser history, cookies, whatever it might be, and practice safety when it comes to browsing. I think that's the biggest takeaway from me, right? So Ryan, what do you think?
I think the internet is trash. Here's here's why. Like you said, it comes down to being user friendly. So we know that people are not going to think heavily on this, right? It would be overwhelming. I need to validate my keys. I need to do this. So that's why we made the little lock symbol. Makes people feel more confident. People don't pay attention to that. Very rarely do they even look at that, probably. So then now browsers tell you like this is an invalid session or something's wonky about this website, so you should still clear. But I'm still going to give you the option to continue if you want to. Again, like we I don't know how we like, because the whole promise of Web 3.0 was to fix a lot of these situations, right? Saying like, okay, we didn't think about these things before we built the internet, and a lot of these protocols were not supposed to last as long as they did. So now we have, we're trying to correct it. We're gonna jump to the next version of the internet, and it's just never took place, or it does take place, but it's you're building again bolt-on security. You're building on top of bad land, a crappy foundation. So there really is no fixing it. It's more of your big browser companies, your Google, Chrome. What is the Internet Explorer now? Is it Edge or something like that? Yeah, you could tell I do not evolve. I call things by what they were called when I first saw them. Like it's not X, it's Twitter. It's not,
I like Edge.
this is
I don't
that.
mind it. I think it's pretty. I like the Copilot integration with Edge, so it's pretty cool in that regard.
I'm still fuddy duddy. Again, I use Chrome. Like whenever given the option, I use Chrome.
Chrome is just too resource intensive for me. It's like you'll see Chrome using like 8 gigs of RAM on your computer. Yes. It's so insane.
Like don't open more than 3 tabs, because we take all your RAM belongs to me.
It's a resource hog, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but yeah, it's like we're gonna continue to see this bolt-on security forever, in my opinion, just because the internet was not supposed to do what it's currently doing. People just couldn't have fathomed that it would become like utility. Like you need the internet to bank. You need it to pay your utilities. You need it, for everything has a web page or a portal, or if you want to do a lot of things. Like the VA kind of forces you, like not forces you, but a lot of its stuff is through their portal, right? So it's like a federated type situation. If you want to get to your disability stuff or your medical stuff, or you want to you know renew your prescriptions, like all of that stuff is behind a web page. Like you could call or talk to somebody, but there a lot of people are going to direct you back to the web page. Like, hey, have you tried using this? Have you tried using that? Like, here's how you get your medical records, X, Y, and Z. So it's not going anywhere. So you can't just overhaul the entire thing.
And they'll say it right at the beginning of the message too. Like as the message is starting, it's like, "Hey, have you gone to the website va.gov? Blah 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 blah." It's like, yeah, I know you're trying to direct me that way. But the thing here's the thing, right? So like as convenience goes up, and I'm not necessarily meaning for like customers or consumers, right? This is for sysads, right? This is what we're talking about here. As the convenience goes up, the security usually takes a hit, right? That's just kind of how it is, right? Like, and I hate to say it like this, but it's what we want, right? Like not we as in the folks doing this podcast right now, but we the humans, right? Like give me the
Right.
convenience. I don't care about the security aspect of it, right? I feel differently. Every time that convenience goes up, I'm like, man, this is gonna be harder. You know what I mean? Like it's just the way of the world and how it is. Because like you pointed out, right? Like even if they tell you a site is not secure, the certificate is not good or anything like that, you can go on, right? You just go ahead and accept, click the link anyway, right? Keep it moving, and you're not even so like Chris was saying, when you see the HTTPS, like we're just used to it's automatically going to be there with the lock, right? So like if it doesn't happen, right, and you don't get a notification, you're not paying attention to it, right? Like depending on what browser you use, like the whole address bar may turn red. You know what I mean? Like telling you, hey, this isn't secure, but you're like, I don't care. I'm looking at, whatever it is I'm looking at on whatever site. You know what I mean? We care about what's being presented to us. We don't care about the security in the background until something goes wrong. Then all of a sudden we clutch our pearls, right? Like, oh, how could you do this to me? Like you didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I'd like, again, I don't believe we can overhaul the entire thing, because the most secure would be like the specific address, right? Like the IP address to get there. You have your own key with it, and it's no longer a public trust. It's like me specifically, Ryan has a key to this website, which you kind of do, but you know what I'm saying. Like the distribution would be, I would own the key. I would have generated it myself, and I would have formed the relationship, the PKI relationship between the website, like specifically. Like the only website that I know by IP address is Google, right? Quad eights. Yeah, yeah, because it was the way that you test connectivity. Okay, well DNS is shot, so how do I get here, right? Quad eights.
All right, everybody, man, we getting a little off topic on everyone this time. This is crazy this week. So this one is from CSO Online, and the title of this one is Agentic AI, a CISO security nightmare in the making. Right? So the reason for that is because with AI, right, AI has been integrated more and more into everything that we do, right? But the security aspect of it and making sure you've implemented enough security for it is kind of lacking. There's a lot of processes like software development. They talk about customer support being a thing that they're trying to implement AI into more and more, right? But the support for the security of it is where they're starting to struggle, right? So the systems are becoming more and more integrated with the vendors, even like third party vendors that are being used with some of these companies. Like they're jumping on the train too, right? So when it comes to the cybersecurity teams, you got to plan out your security for these types of things, right? Like if you go back to our first article where we talk about Grok, right? Like it's easy enough to implement malicious like links and things like that, right? And it's becoming more and more of a thing, right? Because every time you turn around, right, like you have companies that are laying off massive amounts of people, right? Because they've been able to replace their workforce with AI or whatever the situation may be, right? And from a company aspect, like that's what I don't want to say that's what they want, right? I hate to make it seem like they're all heartless like this, right? But they just make it to where there's no need for us to have these, 400 people now, right? Because AI is doing a lot of what we had them do, right? Like AI.
Aren't they? Aren't they heartless?
Okay, I don't want to say it out loud, right? Like I said, I don't want to say it out loud, but no, I
We
mean
don't have
it's
any sponsors.
okay.
Say it.
No, this is how the internet comes back to bite you, right? I digress because we keep doing it this week. We keep getting off topic, but no, it's the cybersecurity teams are the ones that suffer with this, and that's kind of what it's talking about here, right? Like, is like, yeah, agentic AI, it is something that is helping, depending on what side of it you're on, right? If you're losing your job, you don't think it's helping, but the companies themselves are like, yeah, we like this, right? But even then, like the companies aren't even tracking carefully enough where the systems are being implemented into their processes, right? It's like they don't know who's using them. There's the autonomy thing of how they're going about being used in their systems, and IT and cybersecurity has to play catch up with that, right? And that's what they talk about here. So it's like before you start going around and just implementing AI wherever because you're like, cool, this will make things faster. It'll get us more money or whatever. You need to take the cybersecurity into consideration. It's just not being done as reasonably as it should be, right? So, Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think we're going back onto that discussion of as convenience and security, capabilities and security. Agentic AI itself is, I would say, it's a very intrusive technology in terms of the autonomy that you give agentic AI. You give it a lot. It's essentially a system that can pursue a goal with, you tell it to do something and then it can do it without constant human input, right? It's like a productivity, like that, does things for you, but it could be like Shannon said, it's a kind of a nightmare for our security people, right? And the article specifically talks about things like you guys are probably familiar with the term shadow IT. Utilize people installing their own programs and in corporate networks doing whatever. And here the situation is like shadow AI, essentially AI that's working without the visibility from the security team. And I think that's really the key point here, right? With that, you can have like rogue systems. If you've given your agentic AI, I would say too much access into specific repositories, databases. I'm thinking some type of chat bot or some kind of AI bot that does some type of customer service. And I think it can, reach out to customer databases and things like that, right? Unless you really give it some secure responses or secure inputs, I think there's a potential there for misuse, and really the attack surface goes up the more autonomy you give it. And then they also talk about like third-party integrations, right? So that in itself gives you a third-party risk in that regard. So let's say you've got API connections to different clouds and different, even like a payroll system API, where if you're HI API, right? A bunch of HR systems out there that are, SaaS based, right? You give it an integration, right? And then that itself could be a attack vector right there. And then I think it also talks about the actioning, right? So multi-stage attacks. So agents can chain actions. They can almost mimic advanced persistent threats in that regard. So you got your own little APT working inside your organization, right? But again, that's if it's utilized in that regard, right? And I think really key takeaway, visibility. I think all of us in IT and especially in the cybersecurity professionals, visibility is like number one. That's why we always ask for asset inventories when you're doing a audit, right? Like, do you know where all your stuff is?
Right. That's question number one.
Where's all your stuff at, right? Do you have a diagram? Where are inputs, outputs? Where are where's your boundary at? Like, show me where, if it's logical, physical, whatever, right? That's kind of the first thing that we ask. And then when you give an AI that like autonomy to kind of work independently within your own environment, you're like, okay, do what you want. And then you don't know what's going on. You don't know what, you've created, right? You're almost like you're creating a little monster if you're not careful. But I think, like Shannon was saying, cross-team collaboration, making sure that security is integrated in every part of the process. Don't just roll out a new capability, new piece of software without consulting your security guys. They're probably going to tell you no and deal with it. That's how it is. We're going to tell you no, and take
honestly,
a look at it.
I think they know that now. If I'm being honest, I think the people that are making the decisions, I think they know that, and they just don't want to have to deal with it, right? They're like, yeah, but we know this will bring in more money faster, right? Like,
correct.
I think that's what it is, man.
Yeah, absolutely. There is an aspect of, hey, we got to maintain profitability. We're behind, right? We got to catch up to the competitors. I understand that. But also, I think, from our perspective, is what's the other side of the house? If you're compromised, if you got a ransomware attack, it's a wrap. Like you just blown your budget through a ransomware attack, right? There's that stuff to consider as well. So a lot of moving parts in this, right? Specifically at the CISO discussion layer, there's just a ton of things that could go wrong. And my recommendation, obviously, know where your stuff is, understand what your agent, if you are considering, as an organization, even a small organization, utilizing agentic AI, understand what it's doing. Know what the connections are. Draw it, diagram it out, right? Just like, and go through a legitimate risk analysis. Go through that risk register of yours, or start writing out the risks, even on a little Excel spreadsheet, right? Something is better than nothing, because then it gives you as an organization or company an ability to see what it can actually do. Because if you can't see it, that's it's a wrap, right? So Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think visibility and observability is paramount in this because like just do a thought experiment with it. Like what happens in the future with agentic or AI poisoning takes place, right? Where like I don't know if this has happened yet or if it's currently feasible, but what if someone was able to take over your agents, right? Think if that was your customer service tool and now it's telling off customers or making it where it hangs up or it auto dials or doing something crazy, or if it's in your even your security team, right? Like, oh well, I shipped it off to AI, right? Like, so we don't have an in-house security team. Instead it's some other larger company implemented this agentic AI situation.
As like Skynet eventually having robots build robots. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah. And now it's allowing, things to take place that shouldn't take place, or it's shutting down security tools and things of that nature, or it's burning backups, right? It's like deleting your backups and things of that nature. Like a lot could potentially go wrong because you when you have a person, right, who's accountable, has bills, right, has morals and ethics and things of that nature, it's a little bit harder for them to go into the comm closet and start cutting wires, right? The insider threat. But with these agents, you don't necessarily have that. So whether it be malicious on purpose or just an error of some sort, it could really disrupt your company. Like it could throw your business continuity, service continuity out the window. So my fear is that larger companies go, because everything has to be scale, right? They go in and they say, well, we can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in benefits and things of that nature, or disability claims and things by just having a bunch of agents, uh, and in our company instead, and then just think of the chaos that could be caused if they were to be and somehow um, directed improperly or set up incorrectly. Like it could even be a configuration issue. And now it grinds your business to a halt, as opposed to having people. I hate to say it's going to happen, but it's probably going to happen in the future. Like some companies going to be shut down because it's AI tools, do them dirty, so to speak.
but here's the thing: it's getting harder to cut the hard line with the axe right now. So
Yep.
when you start doing stuff like this, like Ultron, it's going to escape out into the internet. It's gonna, you know what I mean? Like it won't be self-contained here, right?
Right.
It's gonna stop Jarvis from stopping you, and then get out into the internet, right? Like that's what's gonna happen.
Right. But yeah, I hate to say it, but it's definitely going to happen. Or like, just think if you're a news company and it starts pushing out bad news, right? Based on not credible sources or things that made up. It could cause a lot of issues. Like War of the Worlds, like the more I think about it, just how diabolical it could be. Because you remember that radio program way back in the day when radio was the number one way that people absorbed entertainment and news, caused people to panic. They're calling into the radio station like, "Oh my God, are aliens attacking?" Right?
You know what I've always been curious about with that? It's funny you bring that up, right? Because like I've been seeing articles about how terrible the newest one is, right? And it made me think, like, when that was happening, was there not a disclaimer ahead of time? I've never looked into it. There was
No, there
no
wasn't.
disclaimer. They went right into the broadcast, and it's like aliens are attacking. Like,
Yeah, they ran it. Yeah,
really?
people panicked. Well, I mean, it's great. But you have to think like it's old timey and quaint now, right? Like people would fact check it. They would ask, Grok, is this really happening, or things of that nature. But they didn't have that ability, so people really did think this was happening because it was on the radio. That's a trusted source. It's kind of cool to think about, but like it would be impractical nowadays to pull it off, which is a good thing, so to speak. But also our town square, so to speak, our Twitters and our other social medias are rife with this stuff, but no one believes anybody anymore. So I guess we're okay in that sense. But to guide it back to the discussion. Yeah, I think it really is just a matter of time before one of these agentic AI situations goes awry, and we're like, okay, we gotta roll it back a little bit. We need more people in the middle. In this case, because like we don't have the visibility, like who is watching the watchers in this case. So there will be that balance. So maybe in the next 5 years we'll start to see it. 5, 10 years, right? I don't know how close we were to agentic AI. Like we thought it was decades away, but it feels like it's closer and closer to happening every day. So at least that's what companies like to sell you on anyway. But how was your week, Shannon? Like what you get into this week?
Man, it wasn't a bad week, man. So my daughter, we took her to a birthday party yesterday, and it was at this place I didn't even know existed here in Colorado Springs, man. And I'm like, man, we need to like take the family here, right? Like, it's called Urban Air, but it's kind of like a
Oh yeah,
is it a chain? My
yeah,
wife
we have
was
them.
asking me this.
Yeah,
Okay,
we have
yeah.
them.
It was kind of cool. I was like, man, I didn't even know this was out here. You know what I mean? But yeah, so like we've done like their summer was pretty good. We did Dave and Buster's, we did Boondocks, not the TV show. I didn't have them sit down and watch Boondocks. For that. Yeah, we didn't do that, but it's like a little entertainment spot, right? Main event. They've done all that, but went to that one yesterday, and my wife and I were like, man, like we picked up one of the things to like plan a birthday party there, possibly, right? Like maybe this will be where we have birthday parties this year, right? But
Yeah, we got
she
Urban
had a good
Air.
time.
You got Flying Squirrel. Like I don't know if you guys have that
Flying
chain down there.
squirrel? No,
Yeah, I call it
never
Flying
know.
Squirrel. It's like it's a big trampoline bounce house type situation
So they
with
have that
with zip
here.
lines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they have that here too, like the obstacle course or the thing that you crawl on and whatnot. But yeah, it was a good time. She had fun. So, but yeah, we'll probably end up in a few weeks bringing everybody out there on the weekend, right, and having a good time. But no, that was good. Media watching, man. Ted Lasso, I can't get enough of it, man. Like I think
So good, isn't
okay.
it? It's
I'm almost
amazing.
done with the series, man. Like
It's so good,
So
isn't it?
Apple finally got you. They finally made one.
I gotta be honest, like when I first saw it, I was like, soccer, like I'm not a soccer fan, so I can't get into this, but soccer really is kind of the backstory to everything. So like you were trying to tell me with the zombies in
Yeah,
Walking
I was
Dead.
gonna say yeah, it's not about the zombies. It's about the
Yeah.
humans
but
in the
every time
show.
every time I see an advertisement, they advertise the zombies, right? For
Right.
commercials. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. But no, it's really is good. I think they're bringing back a season 4. So I think I saw a headline where they were bringing it back for season 4, right? Is that right, Chris, or no?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. So I'm almost at the end of season 3 where I'm like,
Nice. It's really good because it's funny because when you think about it, the Ted Lasso experience, he's not a soccer person either. He's like, this is crazy, right? But from an American perspective, like if you're not, a big soccer fan, it reels you in that way, right? But if you are a soccer fan as well, you get what the other side is coming from, right? The British side. So it's just a really good concept. I think it's just well done as a whole.
it really is. It surprised me how good it was. Like I said, I've been streaming it. I've been getting through it, and that's 3 seasons worth. No, granted, they're like it's kind of odd because like some of the episodes were only like 35 minutes, and then some of them are like 54. I'm like, wow, it's kind of. I mean, it's Apple TV. Do what you do, right? But like, it's not a
Right.
consistent 30 minutes or whatever. Like it sometimes it pushes an hour. It's wild. And it's not consistent within the season. It's not like everyone in the season is 52 minutes or 54 minutes or whatever. But
Right.
whatever
Because I
they
think it goes by hours or something like that. Like when they order a season, because I've seen that too, where it's like these don't
Yeah,
really
I think
like
you're
they're
right.
not
Like,
they're not leveled. But I think it's so many hours that make a
yeah.
season, and then you chop it up for episodes. I think that's the way it works.
That's why certain Severance episodes were like 35 or 40
Yeah.
minutes, and the other ones are like 100, hour 10 minutes, right? Like the season
really.
finale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's how the contract works, right? It's some weird dynamic.
Well, that would explain it then, because it's just
Yeah,
like I don't understand how this is. Because like sometimes I'll be like, it's getting kind of late, and I was like, let me see how long this one is. I'm like, 52 minutes. I can't do that. I gotta pick it up tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of late in the night, but no, it's a good series. After that one's done, I'm probably gonna do Morning Show. There's another one I have in the queue.
pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah, that
interesting.
one too. Yeah, so I started watching what is the Spike Lee joint with Denzel? Highest to Lowest is the title of it.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I got like 25 minutes into it. Spike is hit or miss for me. This one, I'm not sure. Like all of a sudden, it just came to a point. So no spoiler here. Like if you watch the trailer, you know what it's about. But this kid gets kidnapped, And like the way they jump into it. So he's talking, like it's a bunch of talking in the first 20 some odd minutes. All of a sudden he takes a phone call and he's just like, "Hey, I've been kidnapped." Right. And I'm like, that came about kind of abruptly. Like, I don't like the way they got into it. Cause like you don't hear the other end. Sometimes in movies, you hear what's happening on the other end of the phone call. That's not the case here. He takes a phone call, face goes, flat. And then it's like, "Hey, been kidnapped." And I'm like, I don't know if I like this. Spike, I don't know what you're doing here, but it's 20 minutes before we even got to this point, right? 20, 25 minutes, but it's what it is. I'm going to give it a shot. I'll get through it. I like Denzel. That's how you say his name, apparently. It's
Yeah,
Denzel.
Denzel.
He said that years ago. So like people been saying Denzel. He said it years ago. I think it was on like the Graham Norton show. My name
Very
is
interesting.
Denzel, right? He's like, but you just let it ride. So, but yeah, Denzel Washington. I'm gonna call you by your name, Denzel. I know you're watching. As I say, Denzel.
Yeah, he's watching. Yeah, he's watching his podcast.
Yeah, but no. So giving that a shot. I know I'm looking forward to tonight when we beat up on these Buffalo Bills.
That's what you
What
hope.
I'm saying? It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm mad about last year. We're gonna pick up where we left off. I'm just putting it out there. But if we do lose, Ryan, don't talk to me all week. Entire week. I'm not over it. But Chris, what you been up to this week, man?
Let's see here. TV wise, I think everybody's getting excited with the sports, right? College football started last week, right? So I've been watched that yesterday. There's some good games on. I was talking to Shannon before we started recording, but right now, like we're Big Ten guys, right? But right now, like if you look at the like standings, everybody's got 2 wins, and it's like 1 or 2 teams because we've all just been playing, smaller colleges, so it's not exciting yet. I think the season starts off hot with like, hey, the ABC or ESPN, they want the Alabamas and the Florida States and Georgias to play right away, right? And then we get in, towards the middle of the season, and then we start our rivalry games, that way on that side, right? So it's cool. It's going well on that side. And for listeners, I'm also a big tennis fan. Been watching the U.S. Open, so that's always good. The U.S. Open always the men's final is always on the first day of like on this first like Sunday of football, right? So I'm like watching football, but I've got like my phone like streaming my tennis match as well. So I'm just watching both because I'm a big tennis fan. Sinner and Alcaraz are playing today, so very very cool to watch. On the TV side, I think we're coming up on fall season, so there's like a ton of new shows, or rather even some returning shows, right? So as maybe some listeners know, we're big into like the British whodunits, right? So there's some stuff coming back on the BritBox that we really like.
Did you call it the BritBox?
BritBox, yeah. BritBox is the streaming service for the British TV shows.
What?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
We got it. Like I love it. It's great.
I thought you were saying your TV was the BritBox.
No, yeah. BritBox is what we use to stream the British TV shows, but it also can include stuff from I think like some ABC, Australian Broadcasting Corporation. It also has stuff like that as well. So if there's any like co-branded, or if there's any collaboration with some of the British television shows or the channels, they put it on there. And so it's pretty cool to see a it's the non-US English entertainment site. So it's really cool to see that perspective. And then on the game side, right, I've been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft still. So I will admit that I've been playing slightly more than I have, but I'm still very casual, right? So if any WoW players, right, I've been just playing
I quit anytime I want to. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they all say.
But the thing is, I'm like a solo player, so I don't, I'm there's a whole thing WoW where you join guilds and you do these raids with 20, 30, 40 people, right? I don't do that. And the thing is, WoW has made it so that you can get all the cool stuff and not have to do that, right? You're not going to be at the same, we call item level, right? Beside the point, like any of the listeners understand this, but for just casual players, there's a lot of stuff to do. So it's pretty fun.
I like that.
Was Leroy Jenkins WoW? The whole
Yes,
Leroy?
it was.
So like,
Yes.
yeah, that like in that video, there's like 15 people out there.
Yeah,
so how are you doing it as a solo player then? Like you're just.
Well, the thing is, so as a solo player, right, there's more instances, right? So instances are like a little thing, because when you go through dungeons, right, generally in the past you've gone with like 5, 10, whatever people. There's now these things called delves where you do a solo dungeon, right, and then you have like a NPC companion with you that does a specific role that you don't do. right? So if it's a healer or a tank or whatever it is, so now you can go through these little solo quick dungeons, 15 minutes. They don't take long, and you get some loot at the very end of it, right? Instead of having to do a 2-3 hour engagement with like 20, 30 people right on the
Yeah.
raid, right? So
It makes it sound kind of like Diablo, like.
actually there is a component of that called Mythic Plus, and in Diablo, like you keep going up in difficulty, right? You can keep going and doing that. There's that with it's a 5-man version, but you can push. They call it pushing keys, like Mythic Plus. The higher the key, right, that you unlock, the higher the difficulty is, and like the bleeding edge players are like trying to get that as difficult as possible, right? So it's there's that. Yeah, it's kind of it's definitely. I mean, it's also a Blizzard product, so they're probably incorporating similar game mechanics, right,
Right.
of to that. So I think they started that a few expansions ago, where they're incorporating some of the Diablo style mechanics into WoW, so it's just a little bit more friendly with other players, right?
Gotcha.
But it's still kind of the same thing. Like in Diablo, it's got that top view, and you got your character, and you're just like killing monsters left and right.
Yeah,
Same
kind of like
thing.
either top down or isometric. Like
Yeah,
we're doing a lot of hand gestures over here, people who are listening to our audio.
top down, right? Yeah, but there's that. So it's fun, right? So I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's been a successful game for I think over 20 years now. So it's fun, cool stuff. Yeah, that's kind of my week. So Ryan, what about yourself?
So actually, I got in my little documentary mode. Like I'm like Shannon over here. I was like, okay, I'm gonna check some of these out. So the first one, like, and I kind of recommend is the truth about Jesse Smollett. I recommend it because he's in it, right? So it's him breaking his silence. They have some of the investigators that were over it as well, and then they interview the people that you did not hear about during the trial. So there's some material witnesses that were silenced or were not spoken to, like we never heard from them. So it gives you a very interesting perspective, right? In this documentary way, it still leaves it up for you, like to like you can still bias it however you see fit. But for me, it didn't exonerate him, but it was a lot of stuff where I was like, yo, like I never heard this piece or this key or this witness or the way that evidence was tampered with, right? Like the Chicago PD have to still answer for 10 seconds of video being missing, right? Because there was a camera in the vicinity. So stuff like that, where you just like, because it never made sense to me, right? Like, why would this person who is this prominent, whose career is like skyrocketing, why would they basically do this to themselves? Oh, and they have the brothers. So the brothers who said that they committed the crime, and they are wild. They're clowns, right? Like they're selling books and movies, and like they've monetized this thing to the hilt. So you also get to talk to them, or you get to also hear them talk about their side of the story as well. And then when it's all said and done, you kind of like I don't know if he did this to himself or not. So it's interesting.
It's got me reliving the comedy shows though. It's most
Yeah,
people like listening. I'm just thinking about the guys in the accents. Sorry,
yeah.
it's very interesting.
Yeah, so I recommend it. Like, and then so more comedies come out of it, right? Like I watched this podcast with Kev on Stage and Angel, and they were poking fun at some of the stuff as well. So it's still making itself into a meme, right? The whole concept, but it was very very interesting to hear it from his perspective as well. So I definitely say check that one out. But the other one is Stands. So there is an M documentary called Stands that's on Paramount Plus, I want to say. It's either Paramount Plus or Prime or both. But it's him talking about how his career kicked off and where the concept of stand came from, and then it's actual like fanatics, right? Like fans that they're interviewing about the situation and what how it affected them, right? Like for some of them, like this saved their life or this really made them big fans. And what's wild about it is like they also have celebrities like Ed Sheridan is a stan, right? So they have him talking about what the album meant to him, and then of course you have like Dr. Dre and a bunch of producers and like key figures like Paul, the dude who's always calling him is Paul, right? The guy that calls him in the skits is like, you got to stop doing this, or
Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Oh
boy.
yeah,
You're on your
yeah.
own now.
right. And I didn't know that he was an actual producer or whatever. Like I thought he was a made up guy, but now he's a real producer. So I have him talking about it
So are
as
those
well.
calls legit? Like, are they real messages?
Some of them, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Calls Paul. I remember that from like, yeah.
Yeah, some of them are legitimate. Like, yo, you can't do this or you can't do that.
It's
And
from
then
1999, man. I like this.
yeah,
This is old stuff.
like Carson Daly,
Yeah.
they talked to him about just how crazy it was on MTV. But it's a really good documentary. Like it's a for me, right? I'm a big fan of those first 3 albums that Eminem made. That was my high school, right?
You know what's
Between
crazy?
Crying 2001 and like Slim Shady. Yeah.
You know what's crazy though is that, and I think we've talked about this before, right? Like that's when he was really like into drugs and drinking and stuff like that. And I'm like, I hate to say this, right? But that's the M I like more than this after he got sober, right? Like after he got sober,
Right.
I was kinda like, I don't know,
I mean,
man.
there's a whole thing about artists, you know, like in their phase when they're just at their
The
most
tortured
creative.
artists.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Like, man, I like the tortured artists. We like
Yeah,
you know
the when he has issues with his wife and his mother is the best Eminem.
And I know it's crazy, right? Like I don't want to promote. Like I can separate the artist from the art, right? Like I'm hoping it's entertainment. I'm hoping he's not really out there locking Kim in the trunk, right? Like I'm hoping, right? But like it's one of those things where it's like I don't know. Like that's the early M was really. I can remember in tech school. I was in tech school, '99. Marshall Mathers LP, I think was what it was, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that was a 2000s release, and that was probably that's my favorite album by far.
Is it 2000? I thought it was 99.
The Slim Shady LP was 99.
Slim Shady LP,
right?
yeah,
and then Marshall Mathers was a year after, and that was my favorite one.
Oh,
I mean, that was a while ago.
It doesn't feel like it. That's crazy.
It doesn't
right?
feel like it, but like I'm like, thinking about it now. I'm like, I remember having like
25, 26 years ago. Yeah.
I remember having to buy the CD for my friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was a kid, right? Like I would try to like the cop was it a rewrite the CD, try to copy it. Like I remember like failing, like I can't do. I don't know. I was like trying to figure out how to burn it. Like as a kid, the first time I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I just give it back. But I listened to it and then give it back the next day. But I remember those days, man. That was so good.
It's like World War II, right? You see video or tape from World War II, and it's you have tanks and you have people on horses. So at the same time, they're like a weird analogy, but at that same time, I had cassette tapes with music on it, and then that was one of my first CDs was that and the Bad Boy soundtrack. So I had Crime 2001. I had those first Eminem CDs, and like the Bad Boy soundtrack, and I had a Sony Discman that had shock protection, right? So when Skip, because like back in the day, you would walk to the bus stop with your CD player, and it would Skip, like bouncing around in your pocket or whatever.
Was it the yellow one, the yellow and gray or something like that?
Yeah, yellow and gray. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And it was like $250, $300 or something like that. Like it was expensive. Like I used my first check from McDonald's to buy the CD player, so that's something to listen to when I'm on the bus going to work. It was the licking ice cream cone, right? I was going to work to get the CD player to listen to the CD player to go to work on the bus. It's crazy. But yeah, like younger people were probably like, what is he talking about? Like, what are cassette tapes? You just carry CDs in your pocket?
Did you guys have those CD players with like the handle like this? So you can like carry like I've seen like the hand straps on CD or maybe that was like even cassette players. I remember that.
Yeah, because so there was a cassette player. There was a Sony cassette player that had that, and also had it could play tapes backwards, right? So you remember you had to flip cassette tape over. Yeah, but then now this could just play it, so you wouldn't have to flip the cassette tape. Man, we are old.
Yeah,
because that was cutting edge back then, right? Like I still have VHS tapes during that time and everything. Yeah, so bring back old memories.
Long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we started this talking about "Dear Mister, I'm too good to call or write my fans," or at least what's the line?
Yeah. So I think I had Panasonic CD player growing up, like a Panasonic. Like I remember like always being jealous of like my cousins they had the Sony ones. They were so nice. They had the headphones are like the orange caps. I think I remember those. Man, good times.
It was great. Crazy times. Now I think fit a million songs in your pocket.
I think it's like those wrap around your ear headphones. I think that was the first time I ever saw that. It was like those old, like that white Sony CD player. It's like a sport mode version. You guys remember that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys do.
I do not.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
But the last thing. So I got to catch up on Alien, but I'm caught up on Peacemaker. hilarious. So I recommend that as well. They really get at the action. Like last night had me dying laughing. And then the last thing is Hollow Knight Silk Song came out. So it's a game that people have been waiting for 6, 7 years. This indie game has been in development for a very long time. It finally came out. It's breaking records, right? It's only like $20, but it's selling through the wazoo, as the kids would say, right? Has the most Steam concurrents. Like I think it's like top 5, top 3. Most people playing it all at one time. Like it's doing numbers. So I decided to try it out because I didn't really play the original, but the hype got me, the FOMO got me, so I downloaded it for the Switch. Even though it comes in Game Pass for free, I'm going to give them some money, so I bought it on the Switch too. I've been playing it, and so far I like it. It's fun. It brings me back to those old school 2D platformers, Metrovania type games, except for it's hard, right? So I've been dying a lot in that respect, but so far so good. I'm enjoying it. So that's pretty much it for me for this week.
You say the wazoo, right? Like we know what you're talking about, but that's probably a new dance or something that's out in the club that we don't even know about.
Right.
That's the way of the world now. You're like, oh yeah, out the wazoo. And
People don't go to the club anymore, Shannon.
is that a thing? I don't know. I ain't been to the club
don't even
in
know.
years.
Right. We're all out of touch. Chris is the youngest of us, though. We got to live through him.
Yeah.
What's hip? What are
I'm
the kids
closer to
doing?
40 than 35, so that's I'll say that.
Got you. But yeah, it's been a pretty good week. Like lots of media to watch. The Bills are about to beat up on the Ravens tonight. I think the game time changed. This is 7 o'clock now. Did they move up? That's what Paramount told me.
Got
But
me looking
everybody
at
else
the
says
schedule now.
8:20 is what I thought.
No. So like that's when they do like the pregame stuff and whatnot that they're gonna show, right? Like
Okay,
like they have a show, like a show on Paramount, whatever it may be, right?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. So the actual game starts at like 8 something, right?
Yeah, your
Okay,
time.
gotcha.
Your time. I'm 2 hours behind you.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I might tune in a little bit earlier because then you get like Fitzpatrick talking about I like him. Talking about the game and what have you.
Yeah, you guys are 8:20 tonight.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's the opener. We're about to beat down the Ravens. Man, it's gonna be great. I may have won the Powerball. I don't know. I didn't check the news. I just woke up and started recording.
Unless you bought your ticket in Texas or Missouri, I think is what it was. They split it.
I'm upset. sad times. I was gonna buy that warthog. I put on LinkedIn.
Right. Well, those states are happy they can get that tax income, right?
Well, Texas, I'm not sure, right? There's no income tax in Texas, so how does that work?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But
I don't know.
Texas, I'm sure they want something out of it. I'm like, there's no way.
Right, you get some of that money somehow. But
I'm gonna go build a new library. Well, not that. Like more lanes on the road, right, on the highways.
Right, a new subdivision.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. We greatly appreciate you guys listening to us on the podcast. Just talk about nothing at the end, but definitely continue to tune in on your podcast platform of choice. You can listen to us on WDJY 99.1 FM out in the Atlanta metro area on Tuesdays at 5 p.m., as well as on the TuneIn app at that time. Or you can watch the show on the Channel 10 DC Fairfax Public Access as well. Hit up our website, so ramcyber.io, so you can see the services RAM provides. You can check out the podcast, or you can buy the book. It goes by the same name as the podcast, or you can go directly to the bookstore, so to speak, at theothersideofthefirewall.com. And then last but not least, you can check me out. I'm at ryanwilliamssenior.com. You can check out all of my stuff. It's like my digital portfolio. You can hit me up on LinkedIn at Ry Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Avicon. Last name spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.